looked at.
Yeah.
I got graphics here. Oh, we're like state of the art in
These are
Tucson.
fancy.
Jack, first and foremost, dude, I want to say straight up, no bullshit. Dead Poet Society has been my favorite band for the last 3+ years.
Get outta here.
At least, dude. It
No
started
way.
with In Too Deep,
Yeah.
right? And when I got that, when I heard that song, it was one of those songs that just kind of shake you to the core. And you're part of this class of rock bands that I look at kind of like a revival of like it's post-pandemic rock called like post-pan. I'm trying to trademark that shit. Yeah. Bands like a Tiger Cub and Bad Flower and fucking who else I fucking wrote down because I always forget names. Like Cleopatra, Highly Suspect, obviously.
Yep.
All this like guitar heavy, soft, loud, soft.
Yeah.
Style of music and stuff. So I'm very excited to have you in and join me so I could pick your brain a little bit.
Yeah.
With everything. Now we were talking about your tour schedule right off the bat and your booking agent. So we're obviously this is like beef after dark, right? Because I'm usually the morning show guy and I am. But they got you on this run right now where you're touring in support of your latest album, Fishin'. For how many months?
I mean, for the U.S. run, we've been on the road since April, like 12th ish. But if we're talking the whole tour, we've left January 31st.
Right.
Yeah. So I've been on the road for nearly 4 months.
Jeez. Yeah. And the U.S. tour, how many days off have you had so far?
I mean, we try not to go more than like, because of my voice, I try not to play more than 3 shows in a row before we get a day off. But that day off is usually a 10-hour drive. So, it's not really a day off.
Yeah. Now, speaking of your voice, you got like incredibly strong vocals, right? And it seems like you have a hell of a like octave range too. Were you classically trained at all when you were like growing up?
No.
When did you discover that you could hit these notes at such a powerful frequency?
I was kind of like sheer force of will. I think that, it's like I grew up not really singing that kind of music except for this one band called Alter Bridge. I listened to Miles Kennedy a lot, and I was like, how in God's name does he get up that high? You know? And so I like started trying to like do it, and I would just like shout and like go as high as I possibly could. I remember showing my friend, be like, look how high I can go. And he was like, it sounds like you're gonna blow your head off, dude.
Yeah.
So I kept trying it and kept working at it. And it wasn't until I really got maybe about midway through college when we started writing like low air and stuff like that I started to figure out, okay, I think I can do these things, and if I work with my voice, I can make it sound this way.
Well, and speaking of college, didn't you go to like a music college?
Yeah, we did. We went to
what was the college?
School is called Berklee College of Music.
Yeah, so that's a pretty legit college.
If you want to say that, I think it's overrated.
Well, what were you playing then? Because you're a musician, and to get into that college. So, what were some of the instruments that you grew up playing? Was it just guitar?
It was just guitar. Yeah, I got into Berklee on guitar, and then I remember I was sitting in a blues lab class, like my like sophomore or junior year. And I was the last in line. There's like 15 guitarists. It's like a nightmare. It's just worst case scenario. It's like 15 guitarists trying to take a solo at the same time. So they're just going down the line. Each one of them is soloing, and it's getting closer and closer to me. And it gets to the guy right before me, and I just have this realization. I'm like, whoa, I suck at guitar, dude.
It's like 14 other dudes, and you're just like, man,
I was like, dang, I'm the worst person in this room. So I went right downstairs and I changed my principal to voice, and then I had a couple voice lessons, teachers, but I never practiced. I just
So what was your college experience like then? What was the Berklee School of Music, like the social scene, and were you just kind of is that where you clicked up with all the guys and started a band?
Yeah, we were kind of on the outside of all of that, we never got involved in like social circles of that sort of nature. It was just we always were doing our own thing, and it always seemed like this very cliquey, like who did what kind of scene. It's just against everything I feel with music. So we never really socialized that much, but I met all the guys there. We had a different bassist at the time who was one of Jack's childhood friends.
Okay.
And so when he left, we had a friend named Dylan, who's our bassist now, and he'd been filling in for years, so he was just the natural choice.
Nice. Well, was the friend was it Nick or something?
Yeah, Nick.
Yeah, Nick. Was he kind of like a wild man? Like when so like when you guys were going and touring Mexico a lot at first, were you getting in a lot of trouble? Was Nick getting in trouble and it was making it problematic? Yeah.
yeah. I mean, Nick is the only rock star to this day in this band, dude.
It's not sustainable.
No, it's not. Yeah. He's wild, man. I love him so much. And yeah, I remember this one time we were in Mexico, and everybody's always, I feel like as an American, you kind of have this like, ooh, like dangerous kind of thing, but it's really not,
Yeah,
really
I love Mexico.
I love Mexico too. I've been down there 9 times now with the band.
Where would you play when you were going down there?
It was sometimes Baja California, and then the other times it was all Central and the Yucatan Peninsula. We did a bunch of tours down there with a couple bands, one called Sputnik and one called Beta.
Okay, yeah, and people in Mexico go crazy too, right?
Oh, they're awesome.
Yeah. It's something about the closer you get to the equator, the more the energy is for these like rock enthusiasts. They go nuts.
Yeah, my genetics are not built for that weather, man.
No. Well, that's nuts too, as far as you like starting and then going on Mexico runs, which is not necessarily like the game plan for a lot of bands, right? So it's just the bands you were clicked up with, and they're just like, hey, we're routing through Mexico and Central Mexico as well.
Yeah. So I mean, the way that came about was there's a guy named Joe Trouble, and he had a YouTube channel called Pepe Problemas.
Yeah.
And it's a very big YouTube channel down there, and he shouted us out on his YouTube channel, and we were like, oh, what? And so we like looked him up. Turns out he had a band. We're like, dude, we will open for you. Don't we will come down there and play. And he was like, okay, just let me know. And so we were like, sick. And so a few weeks went by, and we were like, we got to book those tickets. We got to go down there. So we got like at the time we had gotten like $1,500 from some sort of sync that we got.
Were you living in Los Angeles or Boston?
Boston at the time.
Okay, so
this was like 2014,
right?
Way back.
Yeah, so you got to go all the way across the country and then to Mexico.
Right.
Yeah.
Right.
Yeah. Wow.
So we had $1,500 and the plane tickets were $1,500. So we were like sick. And so
what'd you do with your instruments? How'd you get your instruments down there?
We just carried them on the plane and everything like that. And we borrowed their amps, and we get down there and I emailed him back and I was like, hey, we booked the tickets for this time. He's like, oh, you're actually coming. Okay, sick. I'll book a tour. And so we booked a tour, and I mean, it's still some of my fondest memories, dude. It was so much fun.
Bet, dude. Yeah. First off, you're going down there initially, just going into the deep end of the rock star life. You guys are just like a baby band, really just started, and you get this great opportunity, and fearless, just say, fuck it, we're going to Mexico and going on a tour, dude. And I'm sure you still got like fanatics and fans from that first appearance down there. So I'm sure it's a bucket list to return on the grander stage.
To this day, man, we'll still have people come to the show, be like, I'm from Guadalajara. I'm from,
that's massive.
Veracruz, and like I saw you with Pepe Problemas, and that now I'm here. And I was like, that's so sick, dude.
That is massive, dude. You guys are like an overnight success 10 years in the making, right?
Right.
Yeah.
Right,
and I like, so when you started, like initially you kind of felt that magic in the bottle with like the first song you wrote was like 145.
Right.
And you're just like, okay, this is it. Yeah. Right. When you were playing the Boston scene, did you create buzz like right away when you were playing? No.
I mean, because it's like everybody that you're inviting to the show is other musicians, so they're just judging the heck out of you, and And so,
was it not like a collaborative scene in Boston as far as the music there? And then like, did you have buddy bands that you ended up like billing with?
Yeah, actually, there was a band called oh my god, what were they? I don't know why my brain is drawing a blank, but a couple of our friends were in a band at the time, and they were really good. Unfortunately, they're not a band anymore, but they're all doing their own thing. They're all very successful at what they do, and so they were close friends of ours, and so we would link up with them and whatnot. But I mean, like, if there was collaboration, we never saw it. It was just we were weird outsiders.
Yeah. So what was the biggest draw you had before you were signed as like an unsigned local band? Like,
in Boston or just in
Boston,
general?
In the Boston area.
I mean, maybe we forced about 50 people to a show one time,
Really?
Yeah.
Wow.
CT the Bears, I think it was. Yeah.
That's surprising because part of your reputation that precedes you is your fantastic live show. You know,
we put a lot of effort into it.
Absolutely, right. And the idea is, you know, a lot of people say it just sounds exactly like the record, right? Capturing that energy that you do live on a record is probably one of the most difficult things a musician can do. You know,
Yeah. I think, you know, I mean, Jack and I spent and Dylan, we spent a long time, like 2 or 3 weeks before the tour, just every single day trying to get these tones from the new record onto our, you know, Helix and Neurals, or like our amp modelers. And you know, I mean, but at the end of the day, I think when it comes to a live show, it's like, yes, be tight, yes, perform well, but like, just be entertaining, you know? Like, if you're up there having a good time and you are yourself up there as much as you can be, you know, people are gonna have a good time too.
That's true. Yeah. Also, I mean, I look at it as almost like a church-like experience. When a band's on that level, it gives that energy. You get that kind of goosebumps. You know, it's religious. You know, and you're just like, oh shit, again higher. You know,
and that's kind of the nice thing about the fact that it took us 10 years to get to this point, is that like you've played in front of nobody and people that really wish you weren't there for so long. You don't care anymore,
right?
Like, so you have. It's like when we get on stage, it's like I have no insecurities, because it's like I've already gone through everybody, you know, that doesn't want us there. And so it's like, I'm just going to be up here, and like, if you want to be a part of this, you can be a part of this, but I'm just going to have fun, you know?
Right. Yeah. All right, so that was just a snippet of the conversation that I had with Jack from Dead Poet Society. And Mike, I'm glad that you were out there last night. Did you say hi? Did we talk? I don't know. You know, like I was obviously days. Please welcome Valdez. Say it.
I'm Valdez.
Yeah. All right, we're about to get on to do a tease. I'll play some more of that interview, and then I'll upload it to YouTube a little bit later as I get the clips and everything together. It was a great conversation with Jack. Dead Poet Society, like, no joke, is like my favorite band right now. So it was fucking awesome to be able to chill with them. I gave them a ride back to Hotel Congress, and then you know, watched them just destroy last night. Had my bodyguard Valdez there. Had Rico and Valdez. I'm the most like protected man inside Hotel Congress for sure, dude.
So much man beef.
Yeah. Rock 102.1 KFMA. We're live on the podcast broadcast. You could join us there as we continue our conversation and play snippets from our interview with Jack from Dead Poet Society. But coming up next, right after Five Finger Death Punch, we're going to talk about a San Diego cop who literally got caught with his pants down. Yes, it's a hilarious fail of a cop getting a little too frisky with someone he arrested, and the way that he got caught, it was just legendarily bad. And I'm going to share that story with you after This Is the Way by Five Finger Death Punch. New music on Rock 102.1 KFMA. It's the podcast broadcast. All right, so yeah.
So you said San Diego, right?
San Diego.
I figured that would have been like a Florida thing.
No, I know. You assume it's a safe assumption that it would be Florida because it's so Florida-esque, but man, it's bad. It's bad. I want to talk about this real quick, and I will make it quick, but I was talking to Rico last night. I noticed something. There's a trend growing, and this is good news for you guys if you want to see major bands in Tucson. The biggest complaint, you know, for the past 2 years is that all these shows that we're announcing are up in Phoenix. And I've said on the air, the reason why these shows are being announced in Phoenix is because they're Live Nation shows, and Live Nation is only booking shows at venues that Live Nation owns, and Live Nation doesn't own any venues in Tucson. Right? It's simple business, right? But a lot of people would argue that's like a monopoly practice. You know, the people who are arguing it, Congress. Congress has been arguing it aggressively against a Live Nation and Ticketmaster, and they continue to, put them under, investigation and interrogation, whatever the case may be. They're, currently in the process of, going through this with Live Nation. Congressional hearings and things like that to try to break up the monopoly that is Live Nation. Yesterday, it was announced a couple shows at Rialto that are being produced by Live Nation.
What?
Yes. So that Asking Alexandria show and Memphis Mayflower, or Mayfire, that's a Live Nation show. And then I looked at the Rialto's page. They announced several shows that all had that Live Nation logo on it. And I was like, ooh. So one of two things are happening here in my theory. And I don't know. But I know enough of the industry to see kind of what's going on in the writing on the wall. I feel like either A, possibly, they're trying to get ahead of the narrative, right? And so now they're just like, open up the floodgates and like, oh, now we got to start booking all these shows, all these venues that we don't own. So when Congress says you guys are monopoly and you're only self-serving yourself, they could say, no, we actually put on events, all these other venues all over the place. Rialto being such a good one because it's a nonprofit organization. It's a 501c3 that they were refusing to do business with for a while. Now, it's possible that Rialto and Live Nation didn't see eye to eye for a while, and there was some kind of mutual understanding recently. That could have happened too. But to me, it really feels like this is to establish an argument as a counter argument to Congress when they get asked these very questions going into the congressional hearing, which is good news for us because that means we're going to get a lot more shows. Rock 102.1 KFMA. Welcome back to Beef Vegan Presents. I'm here with Valdez. There you go. You got to turn on the I couldn't even see. Just like we tried to do a live stream last night in Club Congress and you couldn't see Valdez. And I'm like, Valdez, smile. And he smiled. And then the Tressa cat appeared. I'm like, there he is. It was bad lighting.
What a great time last night. I love Tucson, man. Like, I thought for sure since it was a Tuesday night, like there wouldn't be fun people around. Everyone from Tucson's fun or good looking, and I felt out of place.
Yeah. Because we were neither fun nor good looking, but we still had a good time. I'll tell you, for that show, there's a lot of because there's such a high energy rock band, a lot of jumping up and down. And I normally wouldn't jump up and down for any band, but I said and I meant that the Dead Poets Society is my favorite band of the last 3 years. Their last 2 albums, have been on constant rotation. At home and when I'm listening to. So when they said jump, I jumped. And I jumped a lot. And it was good too because I literally had 48 hours of just consuming pizza. So I'm trying to burn off all this excess carb weight that I just, absorbed from that pizza throwdown and everything. So I did think I was going to die several times though.
That's why I told Rico, I was like, I looked around and all the young people, which was everyone except me, were jumping up and down at the concert.
Yeah.
I was just standing there like in my heart, I'm jumping up and down.
Yeah. And that's fair. But you saw me jump up and down too, right?
Yeah. That's why I was like, all the young people. See, I keep forgetting we're the same age. I always think I'm older than you.
Yeah, I know. It's because I got a youthful appearance and I'm ignorant. So, those are two things that work in my favor. I'm not as dumb to get caught with my pants down now. And I have gotten in on the car, but there's this hilarious story that is coming out of San Diego. A cop had to resign after a backseat encounter with a suspect. Now, this is something that you've heard about before, I think in the 70s and 80s. And I think that's a lot of ways that people have gotten out of tickets.
It happens a lot.
Right. Yeah. You work in law enforcement. But see, the thing is, now every cop is equipped with like a body cam. Right. So it makes it harder and harder for them to get away with this stuff, which is good. We don't want to be able to have cops essentially just get a trick to get a suspect out of being arrested or getting a ticket. It's unfair. You know what I mean? Because every time I offer, I get additional charges, Valdez.
This is the episode of Live PD they didn't air.
I know. It's Live PD After Dark. I'd watch it. So a San Diego officer named Anthony Hare has resigned from the force after what's being called, quote unquote, an embarrassing incident. Yeah, in the backseat of a police cruiser with the suspect. Here's what went down. Okay. According to this internal investigation report, Hare's body cam recorded a conversation that appears to show the female suspect asking if he was single and saying that she was down to F. Right? To which Anthony had to remind her that their interaction was being recorded. Now, somehow, that conversation then dwindled as the cruiser pulled into a quiet neighborhood, and then mysteriously, the body cam was turned off.
It was like, hey, we're going to go into this.
Yeah. 20 minutes later, all right, Hare put out a call inquiring about a master key for patrol cars. You know why? It seems he was in the backseat of his own police cruiser with the same female suspect. And of course, those police cruisers.
He locked himself in there.
Yeah, damn right he did.
Yes.
Leaving him unable to get out. So he was stuck in the backseat with this female suspect. And then they had to call in for a master key so he can get let out of his car. He had no other option. This is the OS moment where Officer Hare's like, I effed up, and there's no coming back from this. Yeah, let's try to come up with the best lie, but I have my body cam turned off, right? I'm stuck in the back seat. There's no way out, right? And what's the only other foreseeable option? Try to break the window, which I'm sure he tried to do. And then if he did, then he'd have to put additional charges onto the girl that he just presumably had sex with. And actually, legitimately, and it was confirmed that he did have sex with her. You know why? Because an hour later, help arrived to get him out of the back of the squad car. Officer Hare later said he was just checking on the suspect and that his body cam had become dislodged while exiting the cruiser. It happens. Yeah, it happens.
And his pants became dislodged too. It's crazy.
Yeah, unfortunately for Officer Hare, despite his claim, traces of semen were found on his belt, and the suspect later confirmed inappropriate behavior. Yeah.
I hope they became boyfriend, girlfriend after that, because I'm like, remember I lost my job because of you?
Yeah. And she's like, I'm sorry, I only date people that have jobs. It's a turn on for me as a man in uniform. Oh, you're not allowed to wear that uniform? Turn off. So that's a hilarious fail coming out of San Diego. Let that be a lesson to all you police cruisers out there trying to get it on with female suspects and not letting me out of a speeding ticket.
Dad, how'd you meet Mom?
Yeah. All right, we're going to keep the conversation moving on to podcast broadcast. Join us, youtube.com/PFE. Going to keep it right here because we got more coming up after Breaking Benjamin on Rock 102.1. Wasn't that a great story?
I loved it.
Yeah.
It's hilarious.
And there's no denying it. You're just like,
you're thinking with your little officer and you're like, there's no way these doors would lock. You're like, yeah, they do.
Yeah. Well, that's the dumbest part about this story is like everybody knows that those doors lock and don't unlock from the inside. That's the point. So, it doesn't matter if you're day one on the job or, you're a trainee, like, this. So getting it on, and those back seats are not necessarily, they don't have any leg room whatsoever. They don't make it comfortable for the, person being arrested. If anything, they make it uncomfortable on purpose.
Those are gross. It's like a hard back seat,
right?
You hose it off if they bar.
And they have the little bridge in the middle, so you can't even lay her down on there comfortably. I'm sure. I mean, everything about that is an uncomfortable situation. The best way to do it. I thought about this.
Me too. I'm thinking of like the hood, right?
Yeah, the hood. And I've seen videos of that happening where they were caught, police officers caught on like ring cams or security cam, and they do it on the hood. That's the smart ones. Those ones still get found out and fired. But this has been happening since police became an organization. So as soon as power came into play, and there's hot women who want to get out of trouble, please be fucking right.
Somehow Wyatt Earp also on a horse. You could tell.
Yeah. So he said, "Hey, game is game." What game is that? Well, I mean, from the woman who said, "Hey, are you single? Because I'm down to fuck." While I'm in the back of this car, it seems like I'm going to be going to jail for a long time. One thing I'd like to do before I do that, that's game, I guess.
Isn't that charges though? Like you're assaulting somebody because she's under arrest.
Yeah. Oh yeah.
Like man. He opened a whole can of worms.
He did. Now he resigned, so I think he's going to potentially avoid additional type of charges because of his resignation. But he should face the full repercussions because it was an abuse of power. First and foremost, even though it was reportedly consensual, obviously but is it consensual when you're being manipulated by a female suspect, right?
Manipulated. Hold on.
Yeah. Let's see. Lynn said it's also sweet of me to care about the woman's comfort. Thank you. I am a romantic. I'm like, you can't fucking this seat. You gotta do it on the trunk like a gentleman.
Well, Clorox wipe here. Let me, my lady.
Yeah. Yeah. I mean, you can't do it in the front seat. That's where you keep the shotgun.
Sorry, man. Squad car is like the least sexy place.
Yes. And obviously, she knew what she was doing. She was trying to get out of that ticket or being arrested. And save kids, not hoes. I wonder what his wife thought. Yeah. No, I know. His wife's thinking, all right, I'm going to get all the alimony, but you're not going to have an income to pay it.
The scumbag in me wants to see what she looks like.
Yeah. And Manny, you're right. It's never consensual by law for someone in custody because that is 100% abuse of power. And no matter what, even the woman in custody could be like, I was like thoroughly really attracted to him. like, sorry, it's not a situation where your feelings matter. You're going to jail and you were in handcuffs. And so at that point, you're in custody, and any type of sexual contact with you is considered abuse. Period. And this is why I'm glad I wasn't a cop. A cop in my 20s, I don't know if I'd trust myself not to take up on some of those opportunities. And I'll be honest with you, sometimes that's in the spank bank, right? Like, you had something to drink tonight? And then, because you've seen those videos where, she's like smoking high, like, can I do this to get out of the ticket? And normally, most cases, 99 out of 100 times, you're going to say, no, you can't. I respect my job. And then one of those times, you're going to be like, I'm actually kind of lonely and I just got shot at last week and goddamn, you're hot. Fine. Yeah. I will let it pass.
After all, you are human.
Yeah, exactly. Thank you. Justifying it. Because I am literally on the record being like, if I was a cop, I'd fuck all of them.
In custody, out of custody, whatever, man.
No. For the record, I would say no 99 out of 100 times. Okay.
There's still that one.
Well, yeah, and I probably pull over thousands of people, so it adds up.
Just playing the odds. You're like, do you know why I pulled you over? No, neither do I.
Yeah, but I do like your blouse. I say, and in 2 months, she'll be shouting me too. Yeah, absolutely. And rightfully so, because even though she was the aggressor, or in a way she was saying that she was down to F, still the victim. That's just the law. That's how that works out. Yeah. That's the same thing. It's like there's a power dynamic here. Right. And if I was like, Valdez, since you were late, you have to do this. That's still an abuse, even though he was an hour fucking late.
45 minutes.
No, 52 minutes, which I round up the other 8 minutes, especially when the other 8 minutes was commercials. So
can you really be late when your appearance is a blessing?
You could still clock in for this. You know that, right?
Oh, no. Larry's like, no, anytime you're on there, you're just his friend. I'm like, okay, cool. He's like, we can't be paying his friends. I'm like, oh,
right. I do have an update as far as my contract. Supposedly, I should be getting it's going through, the litigation process, and it's going to be presented to me sometime this week, which is good news. And hopefully, it's something that, the wait will be worth it. We're going to find out. I
think anytime you have a job, the wait is worth it.
Yeah, I mean, it's good to have a job for sure. But at a certain point, you got to know your value, and also be like, okay, I have a job, but am I like floating above water? Can I?
Yeah, that's true.
Yeah, dude. It's like I have a job, just go paycheck to paycheck.
You have a child that you have to look out for too.
Yeah, man. I have a dependent, and to be honest, I'm a grown man. I spent a lot of time, energy to develop a talent and a skill set that is an asset to this business. And at a certain point, be like, I need to be rewarded for that. I'm not asking to be rich, but I do like, I would like the simple things like being able to afford to go on a vacation. Right.
Yeah.
It's like, that's good. Not worrying.
Yeah. Whatever, man.
How about being able to afford health insurance? How about that?
Yeah, that's a thing.
Yeah, dude. So like, unfortunately, I'm not in that position yet. And that's unfortunate. That's just not cool. And so all I'm asking is for that, which is basically the bare minimum. But I think there's just a disconnect as far as what the cost of living really is in this town.
Did you lay it out? Be like, look, cost of living, my show's doing decent. I'm also nice to look at.
He's going good. I can't really present the nice to look at as an argument. It hasn't worked out for me in the past, but
I think you're eye candy. I value you.
Thanks, dude. And I still can't even bang you because it's an abuse of power. But
those handcuffs are for something else. Don't worry about that.
Yeah. No, I did present my case all the way through, and I do feel comfortable about the fact that it's like, hey, I've earned the opportunity, and I've also exhibited value that is undeniable, and it was a value that I believe that you would lose out on if I had to leave. And do I have options to leave? Yeah, so, and the only good thing, the saving grace that keeps me from having like panic attacks at night is that right now I'm currently making so little that I have really nothing to lose. That's a sad fact, sad reality. It's like you get, if you say, hey, we can only pay you this, be like, all right, well then fucking I'll go work a Quick Trip and double my income. You know what I'm saying?
And then you could just go do free radio at Hotel Congress.
Yeah, exactly. Right. Which I fucking made a thing in Phoenix and really just like built up a career and like a little legacy from working for free on an LPFM, much like KXCI. So I walked by that little studio last night on my way out from Hotel Congress, and I thought to myself, that's a pretty nice setup. But you know what? I feel like it's underperforming. You know who could make it overperform? This guy. So yeah, don't underestimate the hustle. All right. As you guys know. So all right, let's see. Yeah, I love KXCI too, but at the same time, let's show some love for KFMA while I'm on here. Let me play a little bit more of my conversation with Jack, and we're going to be back with more right after Breaking Benz. Check this out. Now, I went through, the same thing, going through my career, but I went through an entire month as I'm just trying to get everyone on the bandwagon, because I'm like, this is a hipster moment with Dead Poet Society. This is a get to know them now before they blow up kind of thing. It's an inevitable fact that I believe. Yeah, you're a special class of musicians, a group putting together fantastic songs, and so I played Hurt every single day in January on the radio. I was getting in trouble for it. It's not even a single, dude, but I fucking love that song, and I'm like, I'm just gonna play it every single day.
Oh, you can swear on here, dude?
Yeah, it's a podcast.
Oh,
yeah. I'll edit some stuff up, but yeah, dude, I played it every single day because, again, it's one of those things where, I gravitate towards music that's like Dark Sunshine, right?
Yeah.
So I could tell as a songwriter, as a lyricist, you write from like a dark place and a lot of times. And then you bring out this kind of beauty and this sunshine in the way that it's presented, right? So it's such of like, if you strip everything away and kick the bare bones, you're like, I could feel this pain. Right. But then it's also just wrapped up in such a like positivity. Then you're like dancing and nodding along to it. That kind of contrast is what gravitates me to your music.
That's what I love. Yeah. I love when music or the lyrical content contrasts the musical content.
Yeah.
It's something that the Killers are like masters of. They have these really upbeat songs, but they're about really depressing shit.
Right. Yeah.
Like Mr. Brightside is like, let's go get him. It's all about him thinking about his girl fucking another man. Like it's just like, or his ex-girlfriend, it's like, yo, that's dark.
It's super dark. Yeah. But in bars, people are singing along, like, and a hand around their buddy, like, oh, Mr. Brightside. Yeah.
It's so it creates such a unique vibe. And like Jack wrote like 90% of the lyrics on that one, 95% of the lyrics on that. And when he showed it to the band, I was just like, oh, this is just perfect. Yeah. This is exactly what all of us have been going through. And this is like, it's no need to change anything.
Right. And so this collaborative effort that all of you kind of contribute, is it just you and Jack that contribute to lyrics mostly? Yeah.
Jack and I mostly do all the melody and lyric writing, but it's not exclusive. It's once you bring it to the band, it's like everybody like goes like, yo, that word's cheesy or like something like that. And so it gets ripped apart and eventually turns into like DPS. But like, Jack and I will, show each other things.
Yeah.
You're very scared. You'll be very scared when you show the other person. But
because you're revealing this like raw emotion, right?
And then we're mean to each other too. So it's like, that's cheesy as fuck, dude. Like,
is that the Boston in you guys? Did you all grow up in Boston?
No. Okay. We're from all over. I was born in Boston, lived there till I was 7, grew up in Virginia, came back for college, and all the other guys in Minnesota, New York, and Jersey.
Okay. Yeah, but they still got some East Coast, and there's no sugarcoating.
Yeah.
All right. Here's a 2-part question. What is a lyric of yours that you're most fond of? Because as you're writing, you're doing these kind of schemes, and somewhat poetic that sticks out where you're like, yeah, I really like that. Right. And the same question is, what is a favorite lyric that Jack wrote, the other Jack? So.
Yeah. Okay. So favorite lyric I've written, there's a song called Love You Like That we have.
Yes.
And I wrote that one after I got out of a 9-year relationship.
Oh, 9 years.
Yeah.
Huh? Wow.
Yeah. So that one was very important to me. And I mean, I don't know if there's a specific lyric from that song that really sticks out.
Just
but
the entire song was just initially like right after the breakup, your kind of therapy song.
Yeah. I think, it kind of slowly came together, but it was like everything, usually lyric writing for me is very hard because
we have to stop that conversation on the podcast broadcast with Jack, but I'll be posting that whole interview on youtube.com. Welcome back to the podcast broadcast. We're live in Rock 102.1 KFMA. Now, Valdez, do you ever find yourself bragging to people about how busy you are?
Sometimes.
Well, don't do it, man, because people will think you're an idiot.
I am an idiot for working so much.
That's a strong argument, dude.
That's probably why I'm single, because I'm always freaking working.
Well, I'll tell you what, I wake up so early in the morning and I go to bed before 8. I was explaining this to somebody last night where, it makes it very difficult. I was explaining to Jack. I was like, it makes it very difficult to sustain a relationship. And he's like, really? Why? And he's like, you try having sex before 8 o'clock. Like people aren't in the mood before 8 p.m. Like, come on, baby, we got to do this before the sun goes down. I got to wake up at 4:30.
You're like the movie Cocoon. You're like, dinner at 6, sex at 8.
Yeah. Yes, dude. I mean, that's in my ideal living situation. It is dinner at 5, make sweet love at like 7:15, and then snoring by 8:15. That is an ideal night. Unfortunately, you don't get that. And, when you're single and you're dating, normally people have, I guess, normal schedules and then go to bed around 10 or 11 around my age, sometimes even later than that. But there's been times where, I've been like, I clicked with night owls that just completely like, oh, well, sorry, that's just not going to work. Because, again, you're not trying to get it on till midnight. Yeah. I'm already sleeping for 4 hours at that point.
I usually wake up at 3:30 in the morning so I can get ready for work.
Yeah.
I didn't get home till 3 last night. So I was like, well, guess who's not going to work today?
Yeah. I know. Well, sometimes you got to sacrifice money for a good time. So it's all about that quality of life balance.
Me and Rico were like, just like if we were on parole, we're like, we both don't work tomorrow. Let's just stay up and drink all the beer. And we went to like everywhere. So
yeah, but isn't downtown, especially with school out, right? Downtown Tucson on a Tuesday night, dead as hell?
No, we met like a lot of awesome people. It was crazy.
Really? So where'd you go?
We ended up hoofing it to like Mr. Heads because somebody's like, it's walking distance. I'm like, yeah, if you're fit.
Yeah, well, no, I mean, that's a good walk, though, going down 4th Avenue. So you went to Mr. Heads, which just, TMZ Tucson posted a little clip from Mr. Heads, which is always great.
Was it a fat guy with the mohawk?
No. It wasn't last night. But so you went to Mr. Heads and there was a bunch of people there?
Yeah, it was a good crowd. We went, and there was actually a fan of the Beef Vegan show. So she recognized Rico first and then me. But it was crazy. She was like a legitimate fan, but she's like, I can't believe it's you guys. I'm like,
nice. Well, you're a larger than life dude because, you're larger and surprisingly alive. But, I'm just
and thank you, everybody. Everyone that I encountered last night were like, your teeth are so pretty. I'm like, thank you.
The best teeth in the biz.
Couldn't afford braces. This is all natural.
That's the best teeth in the biz. But no, that's good. We're, slowly infiltrating these streets, man. So it's always good. And sorry I missed out on that. Someone had to be responsible.
I know.
Yeah. But back to you bragging about being too busy. You want to do this because almost everybody wishes they had more time in a day. And yet we all know people who are constantly complaining about how busy they are. Right. But researchers from the University of Georgia have found that people who frequently complain about their stressful work lives are seen as less competent and less likable by those around them.
Oh,
yeah.
Okay.
So then this is something that we've all fallen victim to. And I'm like,
I don't work enough then. I'm just.
And you're like, I work a lot, but I got it handled. Right. Yeah. Flex. So, yeah, they say those are not the workers who are overwhelmed and are productive without addressing it. So that's a good thing. If you basically don't stress brag, it's like wearing a badge of honor, right? So stress bragging can be bad for anyone who does it too much because it's like crying wolf. Those people are less likely to be offered help when they are really burned out. So the study also found that stress bragging can be negative for work culture because it increases intensity and stress levels for everyone in the office. Because if you're like, hey, I got so much on my plate, it's just too much, you're going to make other people start feeling the same way. So I guess the moral of this, before we even get into beef tips, is just don't brag about how busy you are. Because again, it will make you seem like an idiot. Just be like, yeah, I got a busy schedule, but I got it handled. I got some free time from 12 to 12:15. Lock in a conversation. I don't know. All right, let's keep speaking of conversations. Let's keep moving on to podcast broadcast. I want to talk more about this fan that you guys supposedly found in the wild. So you join us, youtube.com/beefvegan. We got music on the way from Smashing Pumpkins and Foo Fighters on Rock 102.1.
Food Pumpkins and Smashing Fighters.
Yeah, it's always a good feeling when I hear that you guys are getting recognized in the streets and stuff. So somebody fangirled out on Rico?
Yeah, well, I mean, how could you not look at him?
Well, yes, so you're fangirling on him as well. But recognize him from obviously the video stuff, right?
Yeah, the broadcast podcast, and like even I was sitting at the bar yesterday, and oh, what's her name? She was like, "Hey, it's Valdez." She's like, "I finally meet you in person." I was like, "Hey, it's nice meeting you."
Who's that?
Talking
about Bella?
Yes, thank you.
Oh yeah. Bella's on the stream right now. Yeah, and she says you take a good pick. But yeah, so and then at Mr. Heads on a Tuesday night too. So this is what I'm assuming, and this is what I was trying to kind of like explain. So we have like two different audiences here, right? And oh man, Anthony said something where he said no Diddy. Well, we have two different audiences that will recognize us from a voice, from actually listening to the radio station, and those who don't listen to the radio station that often, or even catch us in the morning because they're not up in the morning, but then see our social media content as we're constantly posting shit, right? And that's creating that celebrity culture. That's creating celebrity based off of just oversaturation of literally just being unavoidable. Boom, boom, boom. Whenever you're on social media, be like, these fucking guys again. That's what I want people to think. And I want them to even, as they go, I know that the initial reaction is like, don't know them, don't care. They're going to do that like over and over again. Don't know them, don't care. 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 Until they're like, I do know them. Don't care. I still know them. What's this about? What's that headline? All right, let's check it out. Right. And eventually then they click. And once they click, we got them. So
I love networking, especially with our Tucson people. You guys are beautiful. I love you all. Even waiting in line, I met like two teachers who were friggin' awesome, and it was just a great experience all night. I had fun.
Yeah, dude, and it was more packed than the Upsall show, and I thought the Upsall show did pretty well as well. But yeah, seeing how many people showed up early and just packed it out for that show was fantastic. And that was two shows, and I think 2 weeks or 3 weeks that we were at Club Congress, Rico and I.
Oh wow,
yeah, dude, on a weeknight. And
on a school night,
yeah. And Rico was telling me, he's just like, man, he's like, you did it again. You weren't lying when I said this. And I was like, well, here's a little tip. If I'm willing to go out on a weeknight to see a show, then that show's going to be good. Because I'm not going to be avoiding going to bed early on a weeknight if I'm not on vacation for anything less than fucking stellar. Right. Yeah. And so with both Upsall and Dead Poet Society, they did that. And that's why I was like, I got to go. Now, what do we have next? Well, actually, the concert tour continues for me personally, because June 7th, I'm going up to Phoenix to see Mother at Comerica Theater, hang out backstage with the band, hopefully, and catch up. Yeah, those are my crew. And then the next night,
don't forget your security.
June 8th. Yeah, no, I won't forget my security. And on June 8th, we're going to be at the Rialto Theater. So June 8th, Rialto Theater for WrestleMania again. You want to do that again?
Oh, yeah, that was fun.
Yeah, that was fun. Yeah.
Again, networked and met cool people.
Yeah, that's where we came across like Kayla and what's her name? Who had the Gimp mask. Yeah. She's been on the show before and she was fantastic. But yeah, we definitely are going to be doing it big for WrestleMania this year. And I think Jonathan has like 3 of his bands performing, including Lethal Injection. So yeah, it's going to be massive.
All right, so now that we know in advance, we got to like do a group costume.
Yeah, I guess so. I mean, it's tough, dude, because I'm frumpy. But what would you say?
Wolfpack, man.
You look like you could pull off Viscera.
Remember him?
Well, yeah, because you got the mohawk, so
and
you
brown.
Yes, you could pull off Viscera. Don't go blackface, but you do that. And if you guys don't know who Viscera is, let me show.
Is he alive?
No, unfortunately.
Oh, well, thanks. Why do I have to be a dead wrestler?
Well, I mean, a lot of them are dead, dude.
Why couldn't you be like, oh, you look like Big Show?
Yeah, you don't. What do you want me to do? Let's see. This will be a good one. Does he have the mohawk here? No. Let's see. His name is Mabel as well.
Oh, that's like old school. Remember that?
Yeah.
Mabel?
Yeah. Wrestler. Boom. All right, let's go to images here and see which one best shows that like
I'll tell you right
Valdez-
now, I'm not doing the suspenders look.
Okay.
That's not a thing.
Well, that's obviously an option. But you don't have to. You could do the full like garbage bag look. So that's what I'm trying to look. You know, he had that black tarp thing, this thing.
Okay, see that's doable.
See what I'm saying? Okay, so you know, you basically get color contacts. You already have the mohawk. I mean, you have to like maybe dye it blonde, but you've probably been blonde before.
I have some white hairspray. I could just do that.
There you go. Yeah. And then and then wear oversized and boom, you're viscera.
Set. Yeah.
Just nailing it. Look at that right there. You could pull off viscera. I thought viscera was badass. Apparently it was super dangerous. Here's a fun fact for wrestling marks out there. The Undertaker actually had viscera be a part of his stable because he didn't want to work with him. He didn't want to wrestle him because he would injure people. Right. And he injured the Undertaker before as well. So, you know, he's just like, how about you fight with me as opposed to fight against me? Because I'm tired of getting injured by your fucking sloppy ass. So.
And fun wrestling fact, the Undertaker is not a real Undertaker.
Oh, all right. Look
Crazy.
at you. Yeah.
Despite the name.
Dropping all the facts. I know. I know. I got some videos I believe I want to share with you before we get back on the air for our next segment. But before I do that, let's continue our conversation with Jack and be back with more here.
Naturally good at it. It takes a lot of effort for me to like string words together.
Yeah.
You know? So, but that one is just kind of like section after section just kept popping out to me.
Right.
And, it was almost as if my brain had been working on it in the background, you know, while I write a verse and then write a chorus and then.
Did you have like a melody stuck in your head while you were putting it together, like a guitar riff?
No, I mean it started out like it started with that boom 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 kind of thing over and over, and I just started singing along to that, and like the first verse kind of popped out. I was like, oh, that's kind of cool. I sent it to Jack. He's like, yeah, maybe that'll be something. And then I was in Boston visiting a friend, and I was just sitting in this like old guitar shop in Olston, and I just started playing these chords, and the whole chorus just came out. I was like, cool, that's it, awesome. And then the song doesn't go back into a last chorus. It kind of goes into like this whole other section at the end.
Yeah.
And one of the sections kind of just came to me around that same time period. And then I remember I was in an airport in Salt Lake, and I was like, that section definitely needs to go twice, but I don't know what to say. And I was just standing there kind of like waiting in line to get my ticket scanned so I could get on the plane. And like, it was just, I just sang like all 4 lines that I wanted. And I was like, sick, the song's done. That's awesome. And yeah. So yeah.
Nice. So was this album then a Fission? Is it essentially for you almost like a breakup album?
So yeah. Yeah, Fission was not about the Love You Like That person that was about. It was about a different person afterwards. Okay. But yeah, a lot of the songs in that relate to that period of time that I was going through.
That was a quick rebound. You break up after 9 years and then get heartbroken again. Like
it was a couple years. It was a couple years.
Oh, okay.
Yeah.
I was like, fuck, dude, you keep getting your heart broken just immediately.
Yeah, no. I kind of locked up shop after this past one. Yeah, but yeah. I mean, Fission is you know, it's not just about that relationship, although there are quite a few songs in there about that period of time. But you know, I was like, from moving to California in 2016, it's just been like chaos in the worst way possible.
Yeah.
You know, ever since 2016 to like when I moved in with my friends like a year and a half ago, it's just a brutal period of life.
Right. And you went through pandemic during that time too. Were you signed or are you still unsigned, kind of chasing a dream?
We signed in 2020, right when the world shut down. So,
right. Yeah. So the timing wasn't on your side too. It's been an uphill battle from like the very beginning.
Oh yeah, dude. The only reason this band is here is through sheer force of will.
Yeah.
It's just been like a like a whirlwind of like the universe saying absolutely not, and us just going for it anyways. You know, So
hey, you want something to drink here? I think this one has energy in it.
Oh, okay, cool. Yeah, thanks, man.
I think that's natural and all that.
So,
I know that you guys just sound check and stuff, and I'm sure your vocals must be like killing you too.
No, actually, I a couple years ago I got a voice. I got 3 voice lessons from this girl named Erica Canales.
Okay,
and she's a singer for backup singer for the Killers.
Yeah,
and she is just like road tested. All of her methods were like, you're gonna be on the road. I know what that's like.
Yeah.
So that was the first vocal coach I've ever had that's actually been, touring.
Right.
So all of her advice, like 3 lessons, just completely revolutionized the way I sang. And
that's amazing.
It's like my voice has just been getting stronger ever since. And it's nice. It's nice not having to freak out about it anymore.
Yeah, well, it is a muscle, right? And if you know how to properly use it and exercise it and warm it up, so just like if you're going into the gym, that's what every show is, right? So what's some of your process? Do you do the kind of like the bird calling and everything when you warm up? Like,
yeah, I mean, like vocal warm-ups are just like, I try to do them away from everybody because they are just the most goofy, unnatural thing you could possibly imagine.
Right. Yeah, they always sound weird, right?
Yeah. I mean, I obviously by this point I know quite a bit about the voice, and so it's a lot of creating kind of a low pressure area in your lower abdomen. So there's nothing pushing on your diaphragm. It can move freely. So when I start warming up, that's what I initially do, is that I just go like, and I just focus on my teeth, like getting a vibration in my teeth and pushing my stomach out. And then like, once I get that going and getting the blood flow to the vocal cords, then I'll start trying to like play. I do this like, ooh, kind of thing where it's like I'll just, it's like trying to connect the sort of rising tone all in one voice. It's hard to describe. With singing in general, since you can't see it, all of singing is taught through like metaphors.
That's because I quit smoking and made it sound a little bit better. There you go. But that's vocal exercises with Jack, which I thought it was very insightful. Rock 102.1 KFMA. Welcome back to the podcast broadcast. Is hanging out here with Valdez. Before we get into all the beef tips and everything, I was just going through it. We talked about, I talked about before you came in, Snoop Dogg and NIL deal. I can't stress how big a deal that is. That Snoop Dogg is letting these kids who are going to play the Arizona Bowl strike up NIL deals and make money from their likeness and their name. And it's not something that, it's not like they're going to have like offers from Adidas, like a multi-million-dollar thing, but anything is still extra money, especially from these schools that aren't necessarily D1 schools. Yeah. And these aren't like the top biggest names in college football. These are still great teams that are going to be playing against each other, whoever they may be, with the conferences that the Arizona Bowl works with. But, this is the first in college football in the bowl games, just like having an alcohol brand be a sponsor for the college football game is a first. So,
not since the Bourbon Bowl has this ever happened.
Was there a Bourbon Bowl?
Ever from Bobby Boucher? Was it the water boy?
I was like, is Bourbon Bowl with like your cereal in the morning?
It was this morning.
Yeah, it sounds like it. But yeah, no, but that's a monumental thing that Snoop Dogg, of all people, is the one that is breaking down these barriers and like basically changing the game for college football, because none of this has happened before, and it's all starting here in Tucson.
I was gonna say, how lucky are we? It's gonna be right here in the 520, man.
Yeah, so shout out to Kim Adair and Ali for obviously founding the Arizona Bowl, bringing it to the community and building it up. And he was super proud when he was teasing who was going to be this year's sponsor, and having Snoop's name attached was good for buzzwords, right? And that was exciting. But no more than what is being done now that he is in this position. And that's what makes it historic. And so this year's Arizona Bowl is going to be historic on many levels. And most of those levels, are for the business, for the kids, and the college bowl game, structure moving forward. So, get ready for the White Claw Bowl.
A bunch of Kyles just running around the Nerf ball.
Yeah. The Community College Steel Reserve Bowl. That's going to be good.
The Modelo Soccer Bowl.
Yeah. You know what? Speaking of that did remind me, a real quick story. Cartels are diversifying. Yeah, and they're getting into the tortilla business.
What?
Yes. In fact, actually, did you know that it is now at the point of here? I got the stats pulled up right here.
The first tortilla is free. After that,
it's like, yeah, you're gonna have to go when you go to like a taco stand. You're like, can I get a tortilla without fentanyl, please? But they say, let's see. Reports are now that cartels have infiltrated the tortilla business, and it appears that the cartels have been able to gain more political clout by extorting money from a variety of locally owned businesses. And this includes about 15% of Mexico's tortillas, resulting in a price increase of 61% of tortillas, which does suck.
Hell.
Yeah, this equates to around 20,000 tortilla shops and has other businesses fearing violence and retribution. That's very bad news for tortilla lovers out there. It's going to cost you like $10 for a tortilla.
61%. That's a lot, man.
Yeah, dude. Yeah. Do you know how to make tortillas?
I do.
Oh, good. Well, teach me because I can't afford that. Let's keep the conversation moving on the podcast broadcast. Your beef tip coming up after these words. It's Rock 102.1. Yeah, I don't know why I got all negative on that. I thought there was more positive spin. I'm like, oh, shit. And then you can't even talk, you can't talk smack about it because they're listening.
Just raining the bad news. You're like, your tortilla prices are going up by 61%, people. So what are the chances we get Snoop in here for an interview?
Slim to none.
Damn.
I know. One of the reasons why is I'll probably be on winter vacation during that time he is actually in town.
Not everything's about you, bro.
Yeah, I know. I would come in off of winter vacation to do that. I mean, I'll talk to Ali as much as possible. And if, Snoop does media, but at the same time, Snoop's like, do I need to talk to you here on this rock station? Even though I did do a new metal album back in the day that I made the internet forget about.
And he did a banda song. So, I mean, he obviously likes Spanish.
Yeah. He likes all different
So
styles.
if we had tacos, be like, Snoop, you do this interview. We got a bunch of tacos. Come on, man.
Yeah. I mean, Manny said, so you're saying there's a chance. Yeah. So, I mean, I'll continually bug Ali to see if there's any opportunity that he'd want to do any local media. But Snoop having the social media reach and the attention that he has is pretty, unlike most celebrities, where he just, if he's like, hey, I want to, get this word out, it's out, so he could do that.
Never know. The worst he could say is nah.
Well, yeah, no, I mean, I'll put in requests, but as far as what are the odds of him saying yes, I believe that's slim to none.
Never know. That'd be awesome if he did.
Oh, fuck yeah, I would. I mean, that's one that's a bucket list interview as well. I've been fortunate enough to interview a lot of people I've been fans of. Obviously, I was a fan of Snoop since I was like 13, and that's a legendary person to talk to. That's a living legend. So yeah, that's definitely a feather in the cap. I would love to have a conversation with him. Don't even know where I would begin, but I do know that I would have no shortage of questions and inquiries. Like I know if you were to say right now, I got Snoop Dogg on the line, you want to talk to him? I'd be like, fuck yeah. And I'd be able to have an hour-long conversation with him, going off of so many different avenues.
You just got to kick it off with Snoop. Well, how do you feel that tortilla prices are going up by 61%?
I would lose him. He'd be like, I'm Snoop Dogg. I don't give a fuck about tortillas until I have. Well, I'd be surprised if he doesn't have his own brand of tortillas
soon.
He has everything else branded. This guy's he's like Kroger. He is literally on everything. So, I mean, but he did some cool shit. So, how Snoop Dogg has a cookbook, and so he has a cookbook, and then he basically hooked up his homie E40. Who's a Bay Area rapper, and did a collaboration cookbook with E40.
No way.
Yes, I saw that in a store in the mall here, just like the other week.
Yeah, I'll have to check that out.
Yeah. See, Snoop is legend. Good to see you here, 10 on the tail end of this. Yeah, he did make porn tapes as well. I do recall those. I do recall one scene in particular. Like he didn't star in the porn, right? Like he would like MC it in a way. In between scenes, and then it would be, I swear to God. So the Snoop Dogg porn, he got into porn early in the game, and there's one scene where it's his boys are playing Madden, right? While getting dome from a couple like video girls, right? Or video hoes, or whatever you want to call them. And so that's what they're doing. That's the scene where they're playing video games and getting served and stuff. And that's a Snoop Dogg porn. I'm like, this is a fetish.
Unbeknownst to you, that's when he was like, maybe I should host a bowl.
Yeah, no, I know. Is he the first ever title sponsor of a college sports game that has put out legitimate mainstream hardcore pornography? I would say yes. That's another first. This guy is scratching off all the firsts.
His gin's actually pretty good too.
Yeah. And Bella says, I feel like that's gay, but you're playing Madden. It's not that gay. It's pretty manly. It's a football game, you know.
I'm a very private person, so I don't think I could partake in that.
You'd probably
activity.
Lose the game. It's Rock 102.1 KFMA. Welcome back to BP Presents. Are you saying you would get like skunked? You know, like if you're in that position? I would still be concentrating on the game. I would have tight defense. All right, no one on the FM side knows what we're talking about. We got to wrap up.
They shouldn't.
Yeah, we got to wrap up the show. But before we leave you, let me give you a beef tip. Food is expensive. We were just talking about tortillas going up 61% in Mexico, and hopefully we don't feel that inflation here. But we've been feeling the inflation everywhere else, so it's inevitable. So I'm going to give you 5 smart ways to save money on food. A poll found 78% of Americans now consider fast food a luxury because how expensive it is. Yes. They're not lying. Now, prices for food away from home are up almost 22% the past 3 years. And grocery store prices are only up 1% in the past year. So, grocery store and cooking at home will always be the cheaper option. So here's the 5 ways to save money. Stop being too busy to cook, first and foremost. Okay, make sure your pantry is always stocked with ingredients for a quick 15-minute dinner. All right. If you don't know how to make a 15-minute dinner, Google that, whip together some recipes. It's pretty easy. Number 2, eat less meat. It's more. What? Yeah, dude. It's so.
You lost me already. I'm done.
I know. They're just like, hey, you're poor. You can't afford food. We'll eat less of it. Thank you, rich overlord. See, stop wasting food is tip number 3. Number 4 is snack less because junk food is expensive, right? And then number 5, lean on more generic brands. So a lot of store brand products taste just like the name brands. So reassess which ones are actually important.
My whole life has been store brand. Are you kidding me?
That's true. Yeah. Well, but you haven't done number 3. Oh, 3 is stop wasting food. Or number 4.
I never waste food.
Yeah, I know.
You grew up poor. You know how that went.
I know. Honestly, 3 bagel dogs just for a snack. All right, so there you go. That's 5 ways to save money on food. Good luck to everybody. Thank you guys for listening. Tomorrow morning, we'll continue to give away tickets for all the great shows that we promoted this week. Until then, Robin Nash is up next. You guys enjoy the rest of your day. Drive safe, ride safe, and as always, rock local. Later.
When you wish
excellent job, Valdez. Thank you for showing up.
Will come
Ladies better than ever.
To all your grief.
Thank you guys for watching.
If you've been mean or kind of bad,
Rico.
I will knock out all your